Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United. Here we go. The deal is done. Got the here we go. It's officially happening. And it's been quite a way. Is it on? Is it off? But you know what? I'm happy it's done. I think we always felt this last week it was going to be done. And I do think it's a good sign. And there are some limitations around him on the ball. He didn't have the best season at PSG last year. But if you watched him play at Sporting, considering we've got a lot more technical players in the squad who are good at progressing the ball around him, I do think it's going to be a good signing. 23 years of age, was very good at Sporting, been very good for Uruguay, and he's a proper sort of no-nonsense defensive midfielder in the sense he wins back the ball, he's a ball winner, he's a duel winner, and that would give Kobbie license to play further up the pitch. He's got good positional sense and more. So let's talk about Manuel Ugarte. Let's talk about his statistics, why it's going to be a good signing for United, what the limitations could be, but how we can get around that. Now, I don't know how clear this is, but this is a graph of accurate pass percentage, so ball retention, and defensive duels per 90. And look in that top corner, Manuel Ugarte. You've got Gavi up there near him, Camavinga's sort of near him. Wharton isn't anywhere near. Casemiro's much lower down. Yusuf Fofana, Stach, Marino, much lower down. But McTominay the other side of the graph. Now, Manuel Ugarte isn't the best on the ball in terms of progressing the play, in terms of breaking the lines and playing it full quickly, but he's very good on the ball in terms of retention, keeping the ball. He wants the ball. He doesn't give the ball away. He makes short sideways passes, comfortable on the ball. But what he is good is at defensive duels. When I'm talking 1v1, when I'm talking defending the wide channels, defending large spaces, when I'm talking about a guy that will win back the ball and is just a good duel winner, got those tackler legs in, that could free up Maina, free up Bruno. You've got that in Manuel Ugarte. He is absolutely fantastic when it comes to defensive duels. While he's not the best in the air, when it comes to ground duels, when it comes to winning back the ball, getting a tackle and getting an interception, he's almost like a Wan-Bissaka of DMs. Do you know what I mean? Like Wan-Bissaka was very good 1v1, but also he has a much better positional sense than Wan-Bissaka, which makes him defensive better than Wan-Bissaka. He's very much that kind of player. You know he's going to get that tackle in. And I think with what Ten Hag wants to do, he likes that kind of profile of player. It's more similar to Casemiro. I think, Barella or Subamende would have been a lot better on the ball. I think Sander Berge is better on the ball. But I think if Ten Hag is bringing in players like Xerxes, you've got Kobbie Mainoo in there, I think it's absolutely fine to have a player that, is just, not a natural progressor, but he's decent on the ball. I think people make out it's a lot worse on the ball than he actually is. He's very comfortable on the ball, Manuel Ugarte, in terms of retaining it. I do think a second midfield signer that is comfortable on the ball could be good, just in case an injury happens to Kobbie Mainoo, because then we don't have like a natural sort of ball-playing midfielder and build-up. But I think with Martinez and De Ligt and even Luke Shaw when he's back and Delo and Majraoui, there's very good players in defence and build-up as well that can cover for that. You look at, the top 7 under-23 midfielders who are in and out of possession, and these are the best young defensive midfielders in the ball at winning the ball and keeping the ball in the top 7 leagues. So if we look at the top 5 leagues, he's technically second behind Stiller, and we know how much we all rate Stiller. He's a fantastic player as well. So what does Manuel Ugarte rank best at for players in Ligue 1? So Ligue 1 midfielders, he's first for defensive duels, second for defensive actions, second for tackles, considering he's also playing for a possession-based team in PSG, and he's second for tackles. Just shows you how good of a ball winner he is. He's second for possession-adjusted tackles, fourth for possession-adjusted interceptions, fifth for accurate passes, seventh for accurate short passes, and eighth for short passes as well. So decent statistics. If you compare him to players aged 23 or under, in Ligue 1, which he is 23, he's first for successful defensive actions, defensive duels, tackles, possession-adjusted tackles, possession-adjusted interceptions. He's second for passes, second for accurate passes, second for short passes, second for accurate short passes. He's third, Aerial duels, he's actually third, so he's not as bad as people make out. And passing to the final third, he actually ranks fourth, which isn't bad because that's sort of been one of the negatives around him. You can see statistically quite good there. You look at him compared to top 5 leagues players under 23. He's first for defensive duels, fourth for defensive actions, fifth for possession-adjusted tackles, seventh for accurate passes, 10th for tackles, 11th for short passes. You look at him against under 23 midfielders across all the leagues. When it comes to defensive duels, when it comes to ball winner, you don't get much better than Manuel Ugarte. So I think it's a much better signing people give him credit for. This is obviously his statistics in Liga NOS, and then his statistics in, obviously, PSG, and you can see that you can see the profile of player is very clearly. He obviously was better in the Portuguese league because it's more suited to what Amorim wants, whereas Enrique was more of a possession-based manager. And people forget that PSG signed Ugarte, then brought in Enrique, and Enrique was like, well, I don't want this guy because he doesn't suit what I want to do. And that was just PSG being silly, but you can see that he's very much that profile of midfielder that is, I'm going to win back the ball, I'm going to make a tackle, I'm going to do that defensive shift, free it up for you. And I think United Robbo, and he did a really good thread on Ugarte, and I'd highly recommend looking up United Robbo's thread on Ugarte, but he said this: to benefit the most out of players like Ugarte, you need to surround them with progressive players who regularly break the line, like utilising him as the bounce passer for the backup through combination that we've often seen under Ten Hag. And he speaks about what we've seen under Ten Hag and why Ugarte suits that. And as long as he's got players around him that can break the lines, like Kobbie Mainoo, like Sandro Martinez, it can work. He's trusted to recycle possession under the press, but don't expect him to break single-handedly the lines. This isn't his game, as shown by the charts that Mark has shown here. If you look at his domestic campaigns, Ugarte's tendency is not only to win the ball more than midfielders in Europe, but also efficiency to retain the ball in possession afterwards stands well. And you can see these really good charts here, which show him winning back the ball, retaining the ball, playing the passes. And I think United Robbo is a really good thread that I recommend reading that goes into more detail about Ugarte. So that was just 2 bits of this thread that I'm going to include. And then another good thread that I'd recommend reading was Ethan Talks, who started a new Twitter account called the Trafford Hub. He does a really long and detailed thread on Ugarte and what it brings to United. But these were some points that I like that he made, because obviously these address some of the question marks around Ugarte, and he writes some really good stuff. And he said this: one of the accusations against Manuel Ugarte is that he is unsuitable to be a lone six because he has a poor positional sense. This is untrue. Whilst he is over eager to engage in duels and is naturally drawn to the ball, there is evidence of him being able to sit at the midfield base. He's, while I think he's definitely a pivot six, not a lone six, and if United hung him out to dry like they did to Casemiro last season, I think he could struggle. He's definitely very good positionally. We've seen in the Manchester City game in pre-season that United's out-of-possession structure looks a lot better. So let's hope that we can bring that into the season. Ugarte looks like he could do a job there. He's very, positionally aware, and he can play as a lone six. He's definitely a pivot player, and he would need a fullback to invert, or someone like Casemiro or Kobbie Mainoo to play a bit tighter for him, but he can do that. And Ethan mentions that at Sporting, he was often tasked with being the single pivot player in a 3-1-6 rest defence shape. And he says, sound familiar? That's exactly what Erik Ten Hag wants to do, 3-1-6. So Ugarte then really suits that. When you think about what Ten Hag wants to do in build-up and possession structure, 3-1-6. And then out of possession, it's more of a 4-2-4 sort of thing as well. He said, my concerns over Ugarte as a single pivot player would not be his positional sense, but more his aggressive front-footed tendencies on the ball instincts. Ugarte Martinez a little bit over-aggressive. That's probably the only negative about it. And I thought that Ethan makes some really good points here. And he says, I do believe Ugarte has an unfair reputation about what he offers in possession, though he is unspectacular but efficient in retaining and circulating the ball, which is what Ten Hag wants in his system. And if surrounded by technicians, he's got Bruno, Martinez, Shaw and Xerxes here there, absolutely fine. De Ligt is decent on the ball. Masraoui decent on the ball as well. Delo's decent on the ball as well. Kobbie Mainoo very good on the ball as well. And I think if you surround him in the right system, it can work. And I think Ethan's absolutely right. And I think he makes some good points. So overall, guys, Ugarte is done. Ugarte's a here we go. I thought I'd just do this video to give you a little bit of insight on Ugarte and why I think it's a good addition for United. And let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.